The EFL Championship gets back underway this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, and I, for one, could not be more excited. Just like last year and all the years before that, we will be running our weekly prediction series here on the channel, and you guys can get involved with all the fun in the comments down below as well. Once again, if you do want to get involved in the Predictions League, that will be taking place on Patreon this season. Big shout out to Canary Catchup, who was the winner of the Predictions League last season, who picked up a whopping 379 points throughout the season. That's the score to beat this year. Do drop a like if you're excited for Championship football to return, but without any further ado, let's jump into the matches. So we'll start out at Deepdale for Preston up against Sheffield United. I do feel like, as a North End fan, this is a decent time to play Sheffield United, get this game out of the way early on while there's still a lot of moving parts going on behind the scenes at Bramall Lane. They've managed to put together a really quite strong looking starting 11, I think, but once you look past that, there's definitely a lack of squad depth in there. It feels like there's going to be quite a bit of business done there between now and the end of the window. So hopefully from a Preston perspective, we can catch Sheffield United out a little bit cold maybe, but I'm certainly not underestimating how tough this game could actually be. Preston didn't exactly end last season on a great note. We lost our last 5 matches of last season without scoring a single goal in any of those games, and it's felt like we've been a little bit slow to get our business over the line. And the big worry coming into this opening day fixture is that it looks like Freddie Woodman will miss it with an injury. Likewise for Sheffield United, bit of injury news for them coming into this one as well. Kiefer Moore did miss their final pre-season match against Huddersfield, so could be a doubt for this fixture as well. In terms of a score prediction, I do worry for North End a little bit if Sheffield United score first in this game, but I think if Preston are properly up for this one, anything could happen. I think I'm going to sit on the fence early days though and go for a 1-1 draw between these two. Don't think there'll be that much in it on the opening day. Next up, into our second game taking place on Friday night, it's Blackburn going up against Derby County. A big game early on between two sides who quite a few people have tipped to struggle this season and be in and around the relegation zone. This is a good chance for either of them to get off to a positive start to the campaign. I do feel like there is a little bit more optimism that's been injected into Blackburn over these past few days as all of the signings have finally started to trickle through there, and that should give them a bit of a lift going into this opening day fixture against Derby. By the way, playing a Derby side who have looked a little bit all over the place in pre-season. I know we can't always read that much into pre-season form and pre-season results and things like that, but Derby have been very up and down and look quite leaky at the back during pre-season, I think it's fair to say, with losses against Chesterfield, Shrewsbury and Barnsley, although there was a good win against Real Valladolid in there as well. I don't think there'll be a great deal between these two sides on the opening game week. Dare I say it, with home advantage, I think I'm slightly giving the edge to Blackburn in this one. Score prediction there, going to go 1-0 Rovers, I think, which would be a good opening day result for them. Next up, I'm going into the Saturday kickoffs. We'll go to Hull up against Bristol City. And from a Bristol City perspective, this is probably a decent time to be playing Hull. We expect them to do quite a bit of business between now and the end of the window. Their current squad, as things stand, is nowhere near the quality that it was last season, and pre-season results have been a little bit spotty for the Tigers as well. It just feels like this could be a real opportunity here for Bristol City, who definitely look like the more stable of the two sides coming into this opening day fixture. Goals were obviously the real sticking point for the Robins last season, but they picked up a little bit of form towards the back end of the campaign. They have added players in that final third as well that should look to help out with that problem. Opening day of the season, listen, these games could go either way, but I think I'm fancying Bristol City here. Score prediction, going to go 2-1 to Bristol City on the road in that game. Next up, we'll go to Ellen Road for Leeds United up against Portsmouth. It's crucial that Leeds get off to a good start this season. Really felt like that hampered them a little bit in the last campaign, but their squad, despite the departures of the likes of Archie Gray and Somerville, I think is looking pretty settled right now, and they will be the obvious favourites coming into this fixture. Do fancy Portsmouth to have a good stab at the Championship this season, but this isn't the ideal opening day fixture. And to be honest, I had a bit of a glance at Portsmouth's upcoming fixtures over these next few weeks, and my God, they've really not got it easy. Their opening 7 fixtures see them going up against Leeds, Luton, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, West Brom, Burnley and Sheffield United. I know that no game's easy in the Championship, but my God, I don't think any side has a harder start than John Mousinho's men. They'll probably give a good account of themselves in this one, but Leeds were so strong at Ellen Road last season. I see no reason why that should change this time around. I'm going to go 3-1 Leeds in that game. I do fancy them for a good win on the opening day. After that, we'll go to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Swansea. Quite a few people are tipping Middlesbrough for the top 6 right now, and I think with good reasons. That squad is looking quite strong. They ended last season really well also, but what will be crucial for Carrick's men this season is they actually get off to a good start to the season. It really held them back last time around. I think they went winless in their opening 7 fixtures of last season, so starting the campaign with a win will put a bit of a statement down for Borough, I think. But in saying that, this one won't be easy. Swansea have done some decent deals over these past few weeks. They found a little bit of form under Luke Williams towards the back end of last season as well, and I see this one being fairly open, chances at either end. Worth pointing out that Middlesbrough did do the double over Swansea last season, so take that into consideration when making your prediction. I reckon with home advantage, Borough just about sneak this one. I'm going to go 2-1 Middlesbrough in that fixture, but could go either way. After that, we'll head for the Den for Millwall up against Watford. Sure, Neil Harris will want to get off to a good start with his Millwall side. They ended last season in really good form, and I think most people would probably have them as the favourites coming into this fixture as well. Watford, the overall vibes around the club aren't brilliant right now. Pre-season's been a little bit all over the place for them in terms of results and performances, and obviously the squad quality has clearly dipped when compared to last season as well. I don't think this one will be a goal fest. I wouldn't be surprised if the first goal either way is quite decisive for this fixture. Just think that with Millwall having that home crowd, Watford being a bit all over the place at the moment, I'm just edging Harris's men to get a result in this one. Score prediction for me, going to go 1-0 Millwall in that fixture. Very much looking forward to this matchup on the opening day. It's Oxford going up against Norwich. Now, Oxford obviously got quite a few new players to bed into that side, but I think we can all agree if they're going to survive in the Championship this season, home form will be absolutely pivotal in going ahead and achieving that. We saw how important home form was with Plymouth and their survival bid last season. I think Oxford will have to channel a pretty similar thing this season. Not an easy matchup going up against a playoff semi-finalist from last season in Norwich City, and it's a new look Norwich side as well under a new manager with fresh ideas coming into this campaign. Pound for pound and squad quality, you definitely give Norwich the advantage in this game, but the opening weekend always throws out a few shocks. I just have a gut feeling that Oxford get something from this game, and maybe not get something, I've got a feeling they may do Norwich, you know. Maybe with Placheta scoring the winner or something crazy like that. Score prediction, going to go 2-1 Oxford in that game, why not? After that, we're heading to Loftus Road for Queen's Park Rangers up against West Brom. Now, this is a meeting of two of the managers that I rate arguably as two of the best in the Championship, in Marty Cifuentes going up against Carlos Corberán. Does feel like there's a little bit more clarity in QPR's camp at the moment. I think the deals they've done so far have been pretty decent, certainly on paper, compared to West Brom, who are obviously losing quite a few players at the moment. Corberán having to work in this transfer market with one hand tied behind his back a little bit, and it does feel like the overall quality of that squad has dropped off quite a bit. Even in these last few weeks with the players they've lost recently. Corberán's always good with coming up with a tactical plan, but away form was a bit of an issue for West Brom, especially in the second half of last season. I reckon QPR get the job done in this one just about. Score prediction, going to go for a slim 1-0 QPR home victory in that one. Next then we head to Stoke up against Coventry. Coventry, a side who I think a lot of people are tipping for a good season right now. Seems like that squad is quite settled at the moment. They've made some nice additions this summer as well, but this could be a tricky matchup against a Stoke side who definitely found a bit more form under Schumacher in the back end of last season. I remember the opening game week of last season actually, Stoke got off to an absolute flyer. They absolutely battered Rotherham in that game, I think putting 4 goals past them. Obviously they couldn't keep up that pace throughout the entire campaign, but was certainly an eye-catching start for the Potters. Coventry on the other hand got off to a really slow start last season, I remember, but they had quite a few new players coming into the squad at that point. This time around the squad seems a lot more settled, there's a lot more calmness with the Sky Blues right now. A draw wouldn't totally surprise me in this game, but I think I'm edging it towards Cov, you know. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 2-1 Coventry on the road, which would be a really nice start to the season for them. Next then we go to Cardiff up against Sunderland. An interesting matchup for sure on the opening game of this season. Cardiff in particular, I think there's quite a bit of optimism within that fan base right now, certainly surrounding a lot of the signings that they have made, many of which I'll be excited to see in action on this opening game week. Neither team particularly ended last season on a great run of form, so I'm sure they'll both be keen to kickstart this campaign with a bit of a bang. Away form, probably throughout the whole of last season, was a little bit of an issue for Sunderland, and if they want to really kick up the table this season, that's going to be absolutely pivotal that they do nail down that away form and start to get a bit more consistency about their play as well, obviously. Reggie Lebrie's first game in charge of Sunderland. If I had to back either side in this one, I'd probably be edging it towards Cardiff with home advantage, but I've got a sneaky feeling that this one could end level, you know. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between these two. Heading into Sunday, that sees Sheffield Wednesday going up against Plymouth, and this is quite an interesting matchup on the opening game week. I think Danny Roll has already been quite vocal that he's hopeful to get another signing or two over the line before Sheffield Wednesday have their opening game of the season, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. Plymouth, there's been quite a few moving parts at that club this summer. Obviously Wayne Rooney will be desperate to get off to a good start this season. I think there's quite a lot of external noise going into Plymouth at the moment, and you're always going to get that when you hire a high profile manager like Wayne Rooney, but he'll be desperate to get off to that good start just to shut some of those critics up for the time being. It is worth saying away form was a real issue for Plymouth last season. They started to pick things up towards the back end of last season, to be fair, in terms of their away form, but in the entirety of last season they only won 3 away matches, and Sheffield Wednesday did manage to turn Hillsborough into a bit of a fortress under Danny Roll, didn't they? Plymouth could pull off a shock in this one, but I think I am backing Wednesday in this meeting. I'm going to go 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday in that matchup between them. And then to finish things off on Monday night, we've got Luton Town going up against Burnley. Definitely 2 of the favourites for the Championship this season, going head to head with one another on the opening game week. Now, how much we actually learn from this fixture, I'm not too sure. I think we'll see quite a bit of change between now and the end of the transfer window, probably with both of these clubs actually, both with ins and outs. But Luton, I think you'd probably say, have the more settled squad right now. Obviously, Rob Edwards still there. The core of that squad from last season still together as well, and I think they'll certainly be up for this opening fixture against Burnley. Burnley, on the other hand, a few more moving parts there at the moment, obviously, with Scott Parker coming in. A very big squad he's got to work with right now. I'd imagine there'll be a few more outgoings between now and the end of the window, but interested to see what that starting lineup looks like for Burnley. I think there's quality on both ends of the pitch where either of these sides are capable of winning this one. Worth noting that Burnley did go unbeaten against Luton in the Premier League last season. I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends all square, you know. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between those two. But there you guys have it. There are my Championship score predictions for game week 1 of this upcoming season. How do you see all these games unfolding? Let me know in the comments down below. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.